And now it's time for Church Chat.
Welcome, friends, to this edition of Church Chat. I'm delighted to be joined today by Steve Wright and Debbie Irwin. We're going to be talking to you about our spiritual garden project. And Steve, Debbie, both of you have been working in the early stages to get this project off the ground, working on the physical space and working certainly on one of the most important features of our garden, the vegetables that we're planning on growing. We're going to be talking about some of that today, and as well talking about the community that we hope to cultivate through the use of this new space at St. John's. Steve, I was taking a walk through the area the other day, and I see that it's really coming together. And you and your team have put in some really delightful and ingenious, I think, planter boxes to utilize the space to its best effect. So I wonder if you can tell us just a little bit about that process.
Yeah, as you said, there's a team. We've got a build team who's been working on building the beds. So we're a little ahead of schedule on building the beds, and I've been driven a little bit by availability of the team members, but I'm also been cautious because last year, if you recall, or maybe you don't recall, but last year during COVID, pressure-treated lumber was a scarce commodity. And I just didn't want to get into a place where we couldn't build the beds because we couldn't get any lumber. So I ordered it pretty early. And so we got it and the guys were ready. So we prepped the ground last week up beside south side of the church, did some leveling. And then we spent 2 days this week putting the actual beds in place. Guys worked hard for the 2 days there. We were lucky on the weather, and have the 4 beds placed and, pretty structurally sound, so they're not going to go anywhere. We're working on design plans that were a combination of Shane and Craig Smith, who kind of gave us the outline that we should follow, and it's worked out well. So our next step is to fill those things. So we're going to hopefully get topsoil delivered end of the week, beginning of next week, and fill those boxes as best we can. We hope to do it mechanized so that we don't have to have wheelbarrows and shovels. That's what we're aiming to do. Hopefully, if not, I'm going to have to make a call out for people with shovels and wheelbarrows, but that's our hope. And hopefully we can follow that. Once we get the topsoil in the beds, we're then going to do some path work to go from that sidewalk. If you can picture the area, the sidewalk that runs between the parish hall and the church, goes down those stairs. We want to run a pathway from that west up along where the beds are. And then to the east, we want to build in a conversation area. So our plan is topsoil, walkway, conversation area, shed. That's sort of like a week by week thing. So if we follow schedule, that's going to go on for the next several weeks. And then we'll be at a spot where the planters, you can look over at Deb now, the planters should be able to now take over because we've got things ready for them.
Well, that's marvelous. And in fact, Debbie, you have some of the plants that are going in the garden, some of the vegetables that are going in the garden already growing. Is that right?
I do. I have, unfortunately, I'm on my computer and you can't really see in the background, but I have a tower of plants that have been started that will be transplanted. And I also have some seedlings in the back hall under grow lights. We talked about a variety of different plants. I think we may actually have more plants than we have planters. And if that happens, we may be having a plant sale. And we'll figure out how we can do that safely. But we've had lots of outreach from the community. A couple of schools have reached out and have started seedlings, and I hope somebody is watering them while this shutdown is on. I'm sure that they've thought of that. I think Penny has started seeds. She has a number of people in the community, not just in the church, but in the community who have reached out and have offered to start seeds. And if you follow on our Facebook page, I'm sure that everyone is aware, but maybe not, that we have a spiritual garden Facebook page that you can follow along. It's open to the community, and you can watch as people are planting their seeds, watch them grow right there online. So you can see all the different kids from Sunday school that are doing things, and lots of growing tips as well. So it should be amazing that we can grow some really good, dense nutrition food that are just full of good nutrients, lots of minerals, and not things that have been on a truck traveling for weeks and weeks, because that makes a huge difference. Actually, vegetables lose a third of their nutrients 1 hour after they're picked. So if we can pick these vegetables and get them into the hands of people that really could use some good, dense nutrition, I think that's amazing.
I absolutely agree. And, you know, certainly during this time when a lot of us are considering our physical health, our overall health, the importance of fresh vegetables in our diet is certainly something that we're thinking about. And the ability to help to provide that to some folks in our community who may not otherwise have access on a regular basis to fresh vegetables, I think is a very important part of this outreach, and particularly during this season in our shared life. Debbie, you know, you're talking about those who are acting as sort of foster parents to the seedlings that are going in, and I'm thinking about what a wonderful opportunity this garden already is, even as the project is just getting off the ground, to create some community here in Port Hope and a sense of shared endeavor. I've been amazed at the response that has come to this project. It really seems to have struck a chord with a lot of folks. So I would encourage all of our viewers, please do check us out on Facebook. And if you should find your way to Pine Street North, come by and take a look. Come and take a look at the project that's underway and see how it unfolds. And I was amazed at the difference it made just with the planter boxes going in. I went, wow, this is really starting to take shape now. So over the coming next few weeks and couple of months, we're going to see this really take shape. Now, one feature that we are including is a memorial / celebration stone area. In fact, maybe we should just call it the celebration stone area. These are stones that can be personalized with an important name, date, message. They could act as a memorial for a loved one who has passed away, but they can also act as an opportunity to celebrate some happy life occasions, some people that you love, that you want to have celebrated in that way. And the Bishop Rusilla Shaw, our area bishop, is going to be joining us for the ribbon cutting that we're going to have our launch on June the 12th. And she will be blessing that area and specifically those celebration stones. So if you go to our church website, stjohnschurchph.ca, there is some information about how you can donate a celebration stone, and all of the proceeds from those donations are going to go to support the Spiritual Garden project. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to. I'm going to purchase a couple of those stones myself. I just wanted to say that there are several areas within the Spiritual Garden. We've talked quite a lot about the planting, but Steve, you'd mentioned just in passing that there's going to be a seating area. What else is going on in the garden area?
Well, the seating area will be where the celebration stones are placed and displayed. So the seating area, we're just debating whether it's going to be a rectangular shaped or circular shaped, and we've gone off to order some chairs that are going to be there permanently and arranged around a centerpiece in the seating area where we'll place the stones, and obviously add to that as more come in. Once sort of beside that area and to be placed once we get the area built, there's going to be two children's garden beds, if we call it that. One will be with topsoil, which I presume they're planting things in there, although I'm not the planting guy, so Deb probably knows more about it than me. But one's going to be for planting. The other's going to be for sandbox, but rather than just use sand, which we know are kind of attracting for things we don't want, it's probably going to be more like small pebbles or small riverbed stone where it's nice and clean and it's not going to get, messed up with things. So that's going to go in there. Kind of around the corner, if you think of that nook of the church where the church kind of juts in before you go in the door at the bottom of the treasure trove, Penny's got the idea of creating what she calls a mud kitchen, which is going to be a table with a backing that you can put utensils, and the children will be able to pretend, I guess, even make make their own brand of cooking, I guess, on that thing. And then we're actually going to build another shed back there. So there is, for those who know, there's a shed behind the church that's actually used for a bunch of treasure trove things. We're going to have a dedicated shed just for the garden area, and we'll keep tools, water supplies, whatever we need. Maybe some of the children's stuff, I'm not sure, that things might need protecting, will go in that shed as well. So that's part of our construction project.
That's marvelous. And one of the things that we've been considering is that this is a space that is going to be adaptable as well, and it will have some installation features as time goes on that have a Christian character to them. This is going to be a place where people can explore their faith, where they can explore connection spiritually with God in a very serene and beautiful setting. And we've talked about a few of those features that we might have, and some of the ways that we can leverage modern technology as well to make those even more meaningful. One of the ideas that came up was having Stations of the Cross and having a QR code that could be scanned with a smartphone that would bring up some content. So anybody with a smartphone could scan that QR code and then have a worship experience on their own or in a small group walking around the garden. And having this as a gathering place for our community, I think, is going to be a wonderful way to meet some of our neighbors in a way that perhaps we wouldn't if the threshold was the church door. Having the garden as an open, shared space, I think, is going to be wonderful for that. So, really looking forward to it, and really looking forward to having this right next to the rectory. And in fact, I was saying to Leanne, my wife, the other day, that it's such a good thing when this mud kitchen goes in that our garden hose is going to be right over there, so we can hose Grace down when she's finished with the mud pie making or whatever is going to go on.
Well, I'm kind of thinking of what Deb said about how fast you lose the nutrient value. Well, you can get your veg out of that garden over to your table pretty quick, Jesse.
Yeah,
Don't let anything over ripen, Jesse. Make sure it doesn't drop on the ground.
Yeah. I promise to only take the things that have fallen on the ground. The overstock. Yeah, sure. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add to this?
Well, I'll just jump in. You mentioned the community, and I'll tell you, in the couple of days we've been building, community members are stopping by all the time with their ideas, with their excitement that's coming. I mean, one of the folks who drove by yesterday is involved with the Greenwood suppers that we used to host there in the parish hall. So when he saw we were building these beds, he was tremendously excited and thought, it'd be nice if the Greenwood angle could come into it. And then another neighbor down the streets come by and said, "Oh, tell Penny that I'm willing to help out with any of the kids' painting or any design things you need." So it's growing already, Jesse, what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that's a marvelous thing. Debbie?
I think we didn't really mention, but you may have mentioned before in another chat that there's going to be an outdoor Sunday school area. So chalkboard and seating area just for them, so that they can do small gatherings outside and do some fun things, Sunday school style.
Yeah, I think that'll be wonderful. And even after the era of social distancing is over, and please God, may that day come soon. I think having that outdoor area as an alternative on nice days when we have nice weather, to get the kids outside, to have them, to get the kids to have an area of their own where they can do that learning outside and get some fresh air while they're at it, I think is going to be just a wonderful thing. I have visions of that in my head, and I think it's wonderful. It's wonderful to see that in the midst of this time where we've had so many challenges together as a society, that this idea for the spiritual garden emerging sort of out of this time is one of the ways that I feel on a spiritual level that God is working to redeem this process that we've all been through, right? That the darkness isn't going to win. The light is always brighter than the darkness by definition. And I think part of the reason why this is resonating so visibly with folks in our community is just that, that we are seeing here in a very literal way, new life springing up in our midst. And I'm not here to preach a sermon to you, but if I were, I'd be reflecting on some of those themes. And the garden, I mean, my goodness, the garden, can you think of a richer biblical image than that? The Garden of Eden, the garden of God's creation, the garden of resurrection, where Mary Magdalene supposes our Lord to be the gardener when he first rises from the dead, the garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus and the disciples spent the last night before his arrest, and then the garden of resurrection. So anyway, it's a marvelous, marvelous thing, and really looking forward to seeing this project come off the ground. So friends, please do mark June 12th in your calendars. We are going to look forward to hosting our ribbon cutting ceremony that day with all due precautions in place, but it'll be a wonderful celebration and time for gathering and to kick off this project. Steve, Debbie, thank you so much for your work on the Spiritual Garden Project, and thank you so much for being here today with me. And friends, we'll look forward to seeing you again in this space before long. Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.